Faites l'appel, monsieur le greffier, s'il vous plaît.
Monsieur le Senator Routier.
Présent.
Monsieur le Senator Rosett.
Présent.
Monsieur le Senator McLean.
Présent.
Monsieur le Senator Gorse.
Présent.
Monsieur le Senator Farnham.
Présent.
Monsieur le Senator Balash.
Présent.
Monsieur le Senator Green.
Présent.
Madame le Senator Ferguson.
Présente.
Monsieur le Connétable de Saint-Helier.
Présent.
Monsieur le Connétable de Saint-Clément.
Présent.
Monsieur le Connétable de Saint-Pierre.
Présent.
Madame le Connétable de Saint-Laurent.
Présente.
Madame le Connétable de Sainte-Marie.
Présente.
Monsieur le Connétable de Saint-Ouen.
Présent.
Monsieur le Connétable de Saint-Brelade.
Présent.
Monsieur le Connétable de Saint-Martin.
Présent.
Madame le Connétable de Saint-Sever.
Présente.
Monsieur le Connétable de Gruville.
Présent.
Monsieur le Connétable de Saint-Jean.
Présent.
Monsieur le Connétable de la Trinité.
Présent.
Madame le Deputy Martin.
Présente.
Monsieur le Deputy Southern.
Présent.
Madame le Deputy de Gruville.
Présente.
Madame le Deputy Hilton.
Présente.
Monsieur le Deputy Lafondre.
Présent.
Madame le Deputy de la Trinité.
Présente.
Monsieur le Deputy Lewis de Saint-Sever.
Présent.
Monsieur le Deputy Tadier.
Présent.
Monsieur le Deputy Noel.
Présent.
Madame le Deputy de Saint-Jean.
Présente.
Monsieur le Deputy Higgins.
Présent.
Monsieur le Deputy Masson.
Présent.
Madame le Deputy Pennell.
Présente.
Monsieur le Deputy de Saint-Martin.
Présent.
Monsieur le Deputy Bryans. Madame le Deputy de Saint-Pierre.
Présente.
Monsieur le Deputy Rondell.
Présent.
Monsieur le Deputy Mezek.
Présent.
Monsieur le Deputy Lewis de Saint-Helier.
Présent.
Monsieur le Deputy de Saint-Ouen.
Présent.
Madame le Deputy Dublé.
Présente.
Monsieur le Deputy Labby.
Présent.
Monsieur le Deputy Wickenden.
Présent.
Monsieur le Deputy Bree.
Présent.
Monsieur le Deputy Norton.
Présent.
Monsieur le Deputy MacDonald.
Présent.
Monsieur le Deputy de Sainte Marie.
Présent.
Monsieur le Deputy Truscott.
Présent.
Monsieur le Deputy McClinton.
Présent.
Monsieur le doyen.
Notre aide soit au nom de Dieu qui a fait les cieux et la terre. Amen. Seigneur Dieu, Père éternel et tout-puissant, qui a établi les gouvernements et les puissances de la terre pour le règlement et pour la conduite du peuple, et qui nous a commandé d'avoir toujours pour but la gloire de ton saint nom. Nous te prions qu'il te plaise de donner à cette assemblée le don de conseil et de prudence, d'unir les cœurs et les affections de tous ceux qui la composent, et de les conduire toi-même par ton Saint-Esprit, que toute l'heure de libération et ton accompagné de ta bénédiction, réussisse au bien et au soulagement du peuple, qu'il t'a plu de commettre à le soin. Quand nous t'en prions, on nomme par les mérites de ton Fils bien-aimé Jésus-Christ, notre Seigneur, qui nous a enseigné de t'invoquer en disant, Notre Père, qui est aux cieux, ton nom soit sanctifié, ton règne vienne, ta volonté soit faite en la terre comme au ciel. Donne-nous aujourd'hui notre pain quotidien, et nous pardonne nos offenses, comme nous pardonnons à ceux qui nous ont offensés. Et ne nous induis pas en tentation, mais délivre-nous du mal. Car à toi la règne, la puissance et la gloire, au siècle des siècles. Amen.
Monsieur le Deputy Bryans.
Défaut. Les États sont constitués. I'm very pleased to welcome members to the special sitting of the Assembly this morning. Extend a special welcome on members' behalf to His Excellency, the Queen's Birthday. And may I mention in particular also in the public gallery the Bailiff's private gallery up there, Lady Dalton, Lord and Lady Chidgey, and elsewhere in the gallery, the Mayor of Weymouth and Mrs. Brooks, and the Mayor of Bad Vorzac, and Mrs. Burkle. Can I ask you? Senator McLean.
Sir, I feel honoured and privileged to have been asked by you to make this address on behalf of members to mark this, the 73rd Liberation Day. I have made many speeches in this assembly, but none, especially this, my last, will have been given with more pride or emotion. May the 9th is such a special anniversary in our island's long and proud history. A date when we can celebrate our liberation from 5 long years of oppression during the Second World War. For those who were here during the occupation, many will still, all too vividly, recall the uncertainty, the fear, despair, pain, death, and deprivation of those dark years. They will also recall the Jersey spirit of courage, determination, resilience, innovation, and defiance. Qualities Jersey men and women have displayed for generations, and during that horrific period were needed for their very survival. As the years pass, there are sadly fewer and fewer who will remember firsthand the events of that time. There are few, if any, members of this assembly who were alive then, and I won't seek to speculate on whose those might be. They all look too young to me. But each and every one of us has a responsibility to share with our children and our grandchildren the lessons learned from that period of history, in the hope that it can help prevent mistakes of the past being repeated in the future. I'm therefore delighted to see the many initiatives being run in our schools about the meaning and the significance of Liberation Day. An estimated 60 million died during the Second World War. That's around a staggering 3% of the world's population at the time. My father, as a young British Army officer, fought in that war. He spoke little of his wartime experiences, the loss of 2 of his brothers, numerous friends and colleagues. Clearly, the experience left their mark, and he rarely shared those painful memories. I learned a lot about my father's wartime exploits from a BBC documentary: his capture, his time in a prisoner of war camp, his eventual escape tunneling beneath his captors, and the weeks crossing occupied Europe to Switzerland and eventually home. Despite the horrors of the Second World War, it appears that we have still not learned the lessons about the futility of war. There have been far too many armed conflicts since 1945, too much death and too much suffering of innocent people, the elderly, women, and especially children. Part of our Liberation Day today is about reflection and remembrance, remembering islanders who made the ultimate sacrifice. We must also remember and pray for those less fortunate who don't yet enjoy the freedom that so many fought and died to secure for us. We must never forget the dark days of the occupation, which began when German forces set foot, uninvited, on our island on the 2nd of July 1940. For the majority of us, not there at the time, we can only try to imagine what it must have been like. War raged in Europe, and the UK government took the difficult decision to demilitarize the Channel Islands in order to minimize civilian casualties. Facing imminent invasion, families faced difficult decisions whether to stay or to evacuate. Some 6,600 islanders were evacuated. Some families were split, spent months and years unable to contact each other, unaware of each other's fate. What mental torture that must have been. When the Germans landed, they quickly built up an occupying force of more than 11,000. They immediately issued proclamations, new laws on islanders, and as time passed, additional laws restricting rights were posted and had to be obeyed. These included censorship, curfew, identity cards, changing the clocks to German time, driving on the other side of the road, and more. There were all sorts of restrictions on the freedom of speech, for people to meet in groups of more than 3, and so on. People had to get used to German soldiers just walking into their homes for a look around or to borrow something. Imagine the sheer intimidation. These were dark days of oppression, unimaginable to us here today. The previously prosperous island economy ground to a halt, and work programs had to be established to create employment. A Summerland factory was set up, employing 250 to make and repair much-needed shoes and clothes. Shops soon ran out of supplies, with little restocking from France. Almost all goods had a fixed maximum price, with heavy fines for selling above the set price. One of the greatest fears for islanders must have been the ongoing uncertainty. Europe had fallen. Britain stood alone, weakened after the retreat from Dunkirk and facing invasion from the might of the German war machine. There was no end in sight in those early months and years, just gloom and despair. The situation must have appeared almost hopeless, except for the incredible strength of community spirit here in the island. There were numerous remarkable records for those days, stories of heroism, defiance, and courage. More than 100 islanders escaped. Sadly, 9 drowned in the attempt. 24 were captured and 1 was shot, but all, each and every one, was a hero. Many more escaped slave workers at great personal risk. The school leaving age was raised to 15 to try and stop youngsters getting into trouble on the streets. Despite this, 2 girls, aged 14 and 15, spent 3 days in jail for spitting cherry stones at German soldiers. In the final months of occupation, many were near starvation, kept going only by the supplies brought by the wonderful Red Cross and their ship SS Vega. The Jersey Evening Post was published throughout the occupation, although known in these days as the Evening Post or EP. It was noted at the time that although it was a source of news for islanders, it was not to be relied upon as completely accurate. The reason was that the Germans had full editorial control. The only reliable source of outside news, therefore, and the progress of the war effort came from the hidden crystal radio sets kept by some islanders at great personal risk. Resistance news sheets were printed secretly as means of circulating news from the BBC. But most of those involved were eventually arrested, and a number died in prison. By late 1942, there was the first positive news from the war, with key Allied victories, and in early 1943, the fall of Stalingrad was the first big turning point, where overall victory at last seemed at least a possibility. Great excitement followed on D-Day landings in June 1944, but it turned out to be a false dawn for the Channel Islands. It was a further 11 difficult months until victory in Europe, and the following day, May the 9th, before Jersey was liberated. One curious story is that the first place to be liberated in Jersey may not have been that which was imagined by many. It may in fact have been the post office repeater station, and it wasn't liberated by British forces. The lineman had been stranded in the island during the occupation. He did not wait for the island to be officially liberated, and instead went to the repeater station where he informed the German officer in charge that he was taking over the building on behalf of the British Post Office. So today is a day of special celebration and of remembrance to the sacrifices made by so many on our behalf. Because of those selfless acts of courage, we are here today enjoying our freedom. We are forever in their debt. We live in a beautiful, stable, and prosperous island, in a democracy where everyone has choices and their freedom of speech. We are in a modern, caring society that is continually looking to improve itself and the standard of living for all islanders. Today, let us remember, let us give thanks, let us celebrate our special day, our freedom, together with optimism and hope for a bright future. Thank you.
May I propose the adjournment, sir?
Adjournment's proposed. The States now stand adjourned until Monday the 4th of June at 9:30.